All right, let's talk about scenario book 2, advanced scenarios. Talking about 1 and 2 are played on those maps. And 3 is played on this combo. Now, I'm not going to build that map out. I decided to build this one out just so you could see it as one thing to show. So let me read. This is called Westward Ho, advanced scenario number 1. This goes from the night of June 5th through the night of June 13th to the night of June 16th. I assume there's some optional rules and all that in here. Again, I'm not going to go over this. We can go over this when I play it, where you see a video that's where this is played, and they can cover all this. I will tell you that the more advanced scenarios, some really good play aids need to be developed by the community. Whatever works, because there's a lot involved here. Just as you can tell. So let me just read this, kind of the description of what's going on here. This scenario covers the advance across the Cotentin Peninsula from the airborne drops until the peninsula is cut. It pits the majority of the American 7 Corps, 82nd Airborne Division, 90th. So we've got them all over here. So you've got the 4th, 82nd, 9th, and 90th, and then the U.S. Naval and Air display there. Pitted against the really the German 91st and 77th, with the 243rd as an optional. So that's interesting. The end of the scenario is based on when the Americans succeed in cutting the peninsula and isolating the port of Cherbourg, which is obviously north. So, I mean, that's your goal. To get across, cut off the peninsula. Obviously, there's some time frames here. So let's go over the objectives. I've just set up the Allied side, American side, I guess in this case. Whoops. So we can see what they're trying to achieve. And I've kind of set out their primary and tertiary so I can remember. So the 82nd Airborne Division objectives. Primary, seize and hold the city of Saint-Sever-la-Vicomte. So that's here. So there's several hexes here with that town. That's their primary. Hold that at the end of the scenario. Secondary, capture German reinforcement C, which is up here. Tertiary is capture control both towns of a couple of towns. 4th Infantry Division. Primary, destroy the Ulst 795th Battalion by 1300. June 7th. So you got to do that pretty early in the game. So that's focus on that. Secondary, capture German reinforcement hex A, which is up here. And B. I totally missed that. And B is not there. There's B. A and B. Is that right? Something doesn't seem right about that. Yep, that's what it is. Something doesn't seem right. No, that is not right. A and B. Where's B? I don't know where B is, but I'm not going to worry about that. Anyway, so you got to capture 2 of the exit points. What does it say here? Prior to exiting all units off the map, in accordance with scenario special rules 1 and 3. And then tertiary is exit all units off the north edge of the map by 1300 June 8th. Oh, wow. So 4th Infantry Division, you're trying to get off this side, but you need to capture those first. Dang, that's pretty awesome. Okay. 9th Infantry Division. Primary, establish control of the 7th Corps Western... Oh, wait, I'm not saying that right. That is not 7th. Wait, yes, 7th. Corps Western boundary by the end of night, June 13th turn. The boundary consists of a line running along the roads from St. Columby. Now, am I going to remember this here? Yeah, all right. So that's from basically these D10s here. So this is the border here. That western border. Establish control of that. I don't know what that means. Basically, it's a line across the roads. I'm sure there's something about, people who have line of sight to it and all that business or something. Secondary, seize and hold 2 of the following 4 northern sides of bridgehead sides at the end of and those are down here and here. So hold the northern edges of these bridges going across these rivers. I think that's one of them. So that's that. Third is clear all German units from the area bounded by the primary and secondary objectives above by the end of the scenario. So, oh wow. So that's all the Germans here. I mean, basically in this area. Kind of this road, this river, this line here, I guess. Dang. That's tertiary though. 90th Infantry Division. Primary established control of the northwestern boundary, which is kind of this line here. And the boundary consists of a line, blah, 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 including a couple of towns, which are here and here. Seize and hold the 4 hexes, and hold the 4 hexes of Point La Bas at the end of the scenario. And that's up here, this town here. That's secondary. Tertiary, ensure that no German units exist between the Ladouve River and the Lamudé River. Sorry. That's here. For each night turn beyond 13 June in which the American have not cut the Cotentin Peninsula, each German division will receive an additional 1 victory point. A total of 3 victory points per German division are given if the Americans are prevented in cutting the peninsula through the night of the turn 16 of June. Primary. 91st Infantry Division for the Germans. Retain 2 of the 4 hexes of the Port El Habib, so this one here, at the end of the scenario. Secondary, prevent the destruction of the bridge over the Lamudé River, around 58025, which I believe is up here. I believe that's up there. And then third, retain the city of Saint-Sever-la-Lacamon. Sorry, that's a lot of French there by the end of the scenario. 77th Infantry Division, primary, contain the American advance to the west by the end of the night, June 13th turn. This containment boundary consists of a line running along the roads from inclusive. So basically this along here. So contain that is the primary objective. Destroy any American, secondary, destroy any American units south of Ladouve River between the hexes of 44043 here to 64045. So here. Destroy any American units south of the river between those hexes and south of the gorges between the hexes of by the end of the scenario. Tertiary, control the 2 bridges along the Lamudé River. 243rd, primary, contain the advance of the northwest by the end of the night. Retain either the town of Amfril or the village of La Bonneville at the end of the scenario, and then the tertiary is controlled. And look at scenario 2, which uses the same map, and see what the difference is between those. Was Lee Mallory correct? So this is advanced scenario 2. Night is 6-5 to the night is 6-13, night is 16. So it's all the same. Prior to the invasion, Air Marshal Lee Mallory, the senior air commander for Operation Overlord, forecasted the futile slaughter of both American airborne divisions, whose casualties might run as high as 70%. This hypothetical scenario involves the initial airborne plan to cut the Cotentin Peninsula shortly after landing. Allied planners originally decided on a bold plan involving 2 airborne divisions, which would land along the base of the Cotentin Peninsula, effectively isolating Cherbourg on 6 June. It pits the same forces as Westward Ho against each other, but this time the Americans start stretched across the peninsula and much more susceptible to being engaged on the German commander's terms, much as Sir Lee Mallory had predicted. The end of this scenario is based on when the Americans succeed in cutting the peninsula and isolating the port of Cherbourg. So here, this uses campaign game 8. Okay, it uses all the maps. You'll also need the 82nd, 101st, the 4th, the 9th, the 90th, the 91st in Luftland, 77, 243rd, and the 709th. Okay, so that would be added to it, and the Utah Naval Air Display. Okay, so basically you're adding that. I'm going to guess that. So they're going to have a different landing zone. So I'm just kind of skimming the rules. 101st Liminal Germans. So then you're going to basically have the 101st. So I'm not going to read all these. I'm going to guess it's very similar, except for you got the 101st over here helping. You do have some more Germans here to kind of get going on them. Pretty interesting. But what's obviously some different objectives and what you're trying to do. So you're still trying to get Yep, trying to control those objectives. But then you have another German unit in there, and the 243rd is not optional at this point. I do not believe, so look out. All right, so that's that. All right, let's look at the Ivy Creeps North Advanced Scenario number 3. You're using the Montaberg map, the Saint-Marguerite map, so you're using this map here. Utah actuals are going to, go up there because the Montague map continues the beach up into there. So looks like I could probably play that one on this table, I'm guessing. All right, this goes from the 5th of June to the 13th of June, the night. This scenario covers the advance to seize the port of Cherbourg. It pits the 4th Infantry Division with elements of all the other divisions, which come and go against the elements of the 4 German divisions and multiple core assets. German core assets. This was a truly fluid situation for the first week of the invasion. The division commanders stayed focused on the enemy to their front and trying to defeat them, while the corps commanders were constantly reorganizing and altering plans in an attempt to outwit and outmaneuver their counterparts. Basically, for example, the 4th Infantry Division objective is seizing to hold the city of Montaberg, which is like way up, I think that's it up here. I remember doing that in the Day of Days game for SCS. Secondary, destroy the following coastal batteries. So yeah, you have different guys coming in and out of there. So like the 4th Infantry Division is primarily what you have, and you have 3 German divisions primarily. What's interesting is, so you use those maps. The players can decide which. So here you'll do the beach landings. You also need all of the 82nd Airborne Display, the 101st, the 4th Infantry, and the 709th, and blah, blah, blah. Interesting. So it'll be interesting to know how that all works as them kind of, the 82nd has troop qualities and division command ratings and all that stuff. Okay. Okay. All right, that's all cool. And that is that book. That's what you're trying to do there. So basically you're just racing up there, capture that, destroy coastal batteries. The Germans are trying to keep the coastal batteries, prevent that from happening, and all that business. So there's that. Okay. Scenario book 3, campaign scenarios. So the first one is, oh man, there are 5 scenarios in here. So 2 of them, 1, campaign scenario, 1 great day. Campaign scenario 2, we'll take it from here. This is the one I want to point out to one of my occasional watchers. And then 3, 4, and 5 is the greatest day Utah Beach, what might have been, and there, but for the grace of God. So let's look at campaign scenario 1, the great day. This might be like what we played at our convention a couple of years ago, last year. So 1 great day, campaign scenario 1, night of 6-5 to night of 6-6. So yep, this is what we played. We played 1 full day. This scenario covers the first day of the campaign game, is ideal for 2 to 5 players. While it covers only 1 day, it was an eventful day. End of the game, conclusion of the night of the 6th June, and they're going to have a variety of things. You're going to use 82nd, 101st, 709th, 91st. The 4th Infantry Division. Okay, I just was looking at the wrong thing. Okay. And real quick, the objectives are, so the 82nd, you're trying to capture Saint-Marguerite for 82nd, a couple other towns, Chef de Pont. 101st, by the end of the 09 turn, no German can project a fire zone into causeways 1 through 4. Okay, secondary season hold 2 of the bridges and 1 dam along the Ledouve. Some other things. 4th Infantry establish control of the northern boundary by the end of the scenario, and tell you what that is. And destroy units of the Ost 795th, 709th, take and hold any of the following at the end of the scenario. So just some of the other towns. Secondary, the 4th Infantry Division has suffered at least 5 steps eliminated, and the 4th Infantry Division has 5 or fewer command points or 2 or fewer dispatch points. What the blank? 91st is retained Sainte-Marie-du-Mont. Secondary, retain control of one of the 2 primary bridges over the Lamardeur River. So just basically the 1 day scenario. So that's pretty cool. All right, so we'll take it from here. So this is one I think a lot of people will like. This scenario covers the entire campaign. So let's make sure I've got, yeah. What is it missing? Okay, oh, it's missing the overlays. And that's it. Okay, so it's just missing the overlays because this scenario covers the entire campaign without having to play the naval invasion. It begins on the afternoon of 6 June once the Americans had established a small beachhead and were pushing inland. So then there's going to be a variety of objectives. So now let's just go through the rest of them. So the rest of them are going to use, so that uses the full map as well, except for the beach landings. The greatest day, Utah Beach, goes from 6-5 to 6-13. It's the entire shooting match. This is the historical invasion of Hitler's Atlantic Wall on the Cotentin Peninsula, where the 7th Corps assaulted Utah Beach. It involves 2 American airborne divisions. This scenario is ideal for multiple players between 2 and 10. Whew, dang. And can handle as many as 12 players effectively. The scenario ends on the conclusion of the night turn on June 13th, when 1 chit remains in the mug. Okay? And 6-5 through 6-6. Oh, that's interesting. 1 day. Prior to 24 May, the Allies were planning on airborne landing that would effectively cut the base, isolating Cherbourg as early as 6 June. The mid-May, okay, so it was almost as if the Germans knew that what the Americans were planning and believed they could throw them back to the sea. The Germans were going to give it their best shot. This is a hypothetical scenario and covers just the first day of the invasion if the American leadership had not changed the plan at the last minute. So this is hypothetical. This is where the airborne are landing in London. You're also landing on the beaches, okay? And then finally, the last one in this series. There, but for the grace of God, 54, so that's 10 pages, because it's just 1 day. This scenario involves the initial airborne plan to cut the Cotentin Peninsula shortly after landing in Normandy and isolate the port of Cherbourg for reinforcement. It includes 5 American divisions, 5 German divisions, both with elements. This is a hypothetical, full Monty. This scenario is ideal for multiple players. Okay, so this is 6-5 through 6-13. So this is the whole thing. So you got initial plan. So nice variety of scenarios, some hypotheticals. Where I think some good player aids can come in, what I struggled with on the bigger games is just remembering what it is everything was supposed to do. I think like maybe pictures of these maps and like a color scan with the, I don't know, maybe even just take a picture, put markers on it. I'd do that digitally and say for each division, like here's what you're trying to achieve in this division. You could put them all in one plan. On a map, because I just kept getting like, where's that? Where's that? You know, and you could put, you know, the Signy and put like, if a Signy was an objective, put a Signy and then put the number or the map locator, right? So you could at least see where generally where it is and you could find it quickly, because it's where you start to get, where I start to get confused on the smaller towns, and I don't know where that, and that their names are a little confusing to me. So I think that's one thing that helps this. Ty Snuffer, and I don't know if he actually created it, but he created it. In my opinion, he did it for Crete. But there's a sequence of play for each turn, and with a check box, and it goes through each step in the sequence of play, and it goes turn by turn. Why turn by turn? Because you get reinforcements. Because that's another thing that starts to get a little squirrely. I'm like, okay. These are all reinforced. Most of these pages are reinforcements. So on 1900, on June 9th, Allied reinforcements get independent units, 101st Airborne Division, 907th Glider FA, 907 Glider FA, contact pending, arrives at the thing. So the thing would say, in that stage when they come in, that you're getting these. It wouldn't list all that, maybe, but you would, because there's also those people that have made those cards that are also incredible. I don't know who's going to create those, because that's a freaking lot of work. But there's a lot of work in creating some player aids that make this a very manageable game. Anyway, I appreciate you all sticking through. That is going to be that for all the scenarios and the maps and content. All right, thanks all. It's been great. And let me know if you like it. And so, you know, I can do more of these when we get other big games or whatever. So that's the unboxing video number 3.